Good morning, Phil. Thanks for coming in today.
Good morning, Rachel. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, Phil, we will be starting off with our firm's standard questions. I will read them out, and you can respond when you are ready, okay?
Sounds good, Rachel.
1. Can you describe your approach to establishing a PMO in a new organization or improving an existing one?
Great question. Thank you, Rachel. My approach focuses on, first of all, understanding the political and human tapestries across the organization. Whenever I get into a firm, the first thing I do is try to understand how everyone interconnects to achieve whatever the firm is seeking to. My approach then focuses on a tailored phased implementation. First of all, I conduct a comprehensive needs assessment using the tapestries of stakeholders and the inroads I have to people who matter in the firm. I use this to understand the organization's goals, challenges, and maturity level. I'm very heavily focused on the people piece because I've seen PMOs fail in organizations because there was no buy-in. So the people matter. The next thing I focus on is I design a PMO model that consists of processes surrounding stage gates, milestones, phase end reviews, phase exits, and in the world of a PMO that is both agile, hybrid, and predictive, I ensure that I am tailoring the solutions to meet projects of that nature: hybrid projects, agile projects, predictive projects. I ensure that the model aligns with the assessment, prioritizing flexibility and scalability. Implementation will then happen in phased iterations, ensuring that feedback is gleaned, ensuring that we deliver in increments, but we receive feedback also in increments, and we implement that feedback into the process. We ensure value realization at each stage, and for existing PMOs, continuous improvement is key. I utilize data and feedback to identify areas for optimization, piloting changes before scaling effectively. One of the things I did when I was called to set up a PMO at a well-known semiconductor firm was to begin by conducting a thorough assessment of the organization's current project management processes. So it needs to start off with the identification of pain points, areas for improvement, and then I create a strategic plan that outlines clear objectives. It really depends on the size of the company, the size of the PMO, but I also want to identify KPIs and the implementation roadmap. Communication and buy-in from stakeholders are absolutely critical, and that's why I always start off with people in mind.
Nice. I like how you approach that situation. 2. How do you ensure that projects align with the organization's strategic goals and objectives?
First of all, I ensure that I have truly imbibed the organization's goals and objectives so that they become a part of me. I believe in close collaboration with senior leadership to gain a deep understanding of the organization's strategic direction. I often say it's not enough as a leader to understand the vision. We need to recast the vision when the vision has been made known to us at the PMO level. We create a project portfolio management framework that prioritizes projects based on the alignment with these goals. It should be embedded into everything the PMO does. The PMO should understand which projects are a better fit for the organization's goals and strategic objectives. This, in other words, is called portfolio management. The PMI often says portfolio management is doing the right work. And that is exactly what I would champion. Being someone who loves understanding organizational culture, strategic goals, and objectives, I ensure alignment by integrating those goals into every aspect of the PMOs I work with. And this includes embedding them in project selection criteria right from the get-go, embedding them into the governance processes and performance dashboards. I also cultivate strong relationships with key stakeholders, as I mentioned previously, collaborating with them to translate strategic objectives into actionable project plans. So you could say every step of the way, I have my finger on the button, ensuring that I understand the pulse of how well this is being done, and when it needs to be increased, the intensity needs to be dialed up. I'm ready to dial up the intensity of paying close attention to those goals and objectives at the organizational level.
I see. That's an interesting perspective. 3. How do you handle resource allocation in a PMO to maximize efficiency and productivity?
I often say resource allocation is like the job of a product owner and then the job of a strategic business executive. Because one of the first things that any PMO should do is understand priority. When you understand the priority of the components in your portfolio, then you're able to better see resource allocation strategically, using not only tools of the trade, but also common sense to identify the resource availability, the skill sets, and then to think prioritization. This allows for optimal resource allocation, minimizing bottlenecks, and optimizing productivity. I often liken the job of a PMO to that of a juggler, because the PMO has to juggle resources at different points in the project to minimize bottlenecks, to optimize productivity, to maximize efficiency. And it requires a dynamic and data-driven resource allocation. It's all about looking at the projects in the portfolio, looking at the programs, looking at the portfolio components, and understanding at a particular time which resources need to be focused on what project. I leverage tools like portfolio optimization software, good old Excel, if you will, to analyze historical data and assess future needs. A competency-based approach ensures the right skills are matched to the right projects, and furthermore, I foster cross-functional collaboration to maximize utilization, to minimize silos. But it starts off with a very firm idea and understanding of the portfolio components.
Very good. 4. Can you provide an example of how you've implemented project governance and ensured compliance within your PMO?
Thank you for the question, Rachel. First of all, governance is a framework within which authority is exercised. And an example of how I've implemented governance: in a previous role, I established a robust governance framework that included clear roles, clear responsibilities, standardized processes and procedures, and a project charter for each initiative. Regular audits and reviews ensured compliance, and any deviations were addressed promptly. But building on that, I established a robust framework aligned with not only industry standards, but also, very importantly, organizational policies. And this includes clear roles and responsibilities, defined processes for decision making and risk management, and regular audits to identify and address any deviations. Proactive communication and stakeholder engagement are also crucial when it comes to fostering a culture of adherence.
5. How do you prioritize projects when resources are limited and there's intense competition for those resources?
I always tell project management offices to first of all think like a product owner, for the reason of using multiple criteria to assess whatever is most important at a particular time. It's like prioritizing by value. Also, I use a multi-criteria approach that considers strategic alignment, business value, feasibility, and resource availability. A collaborative decision-making process could involve key stakeholders, ensuring buy-in and minimizing friction. Also, risk assessments and scenario planning inform contingency plans in case of resource shifts. But before I assign resources to any endeavor, I make sure I fully understand the value component. What value is it bringing to the firm? What value are we putting in? You could say I try to understand the return on investment at a high level. There are many other ways that I prioritize. I think of the WSJF, which means weighted shortest job first. And sometimes I could prioritize getting resources on a shorter project that gives a bigger payoff in a shorter amount of time. So these are all things to think about. No matter what I use, though, I believe in using a transparent and data-driven approach. And we develop a project scoring model that considers factors like strategic alignment, like I mentioned, the return on investment, and resource availability. And projects with the highest score, they get priority. It's really that simple. And this method ensures fair resource allocation. If the resources are being assigned to that project, it had better be a high-value project because it needs to be done with value being number one.
6. How do you handle project risks and issues within your PMO?
Very interesting question. Well, first of all, let's understand that a risk is an issue waiting to happen. A risk is not realized yet. It is a potential thing that could happen. So the way we deal with this is, first of all, understand what risk is, have a universal understanding, and then begin to introduce additional processes, additional ideas, such as a risk management plan, and then identification of risks, and then performing a qualitative and a quantitative risk analysis, and planning risk responses, and implementing risk responses, and monitoring risks. All of these are things that we do in PMOs that I have led. I encourage a proactive risk management culture. We identify, assess risks early and often. We develop mitigation plans. We track and we test them all throughout the process to ensure that we are doing the best we can. Issues are addressed promptly using a structured issue escalation process to prevent them from becoming larger problems. We use an impediment log to track these, so you could just say an issue log to track these, and we ensure that as those impediments or those risks or those issues are changing in some of their properties or qualities, well, that spreadsheet or that tracker, if you will, is updated. But more than anything else, it's about the regular touch points between the humans that are involved in the endeavor.
7. What key performance indicators, KPIs, do you use to measure the success of your PMO?
A few examples of KPIs would be project delivery. Is it on time? Is it on budget? Resource utilization. Customer satisfaction is also another one. Portfolio ROI. Share of wallet when we have external customers, and many more. We could also use, in the world of Agile, completed versus committed, and just good old surveys. Those work. Now, these KPIs, they provide a comprehensive view of PMOs that I've worked with in the past. I track a balanced set of KPIs that have been agreed on. So it's not just about what I think is great. I also ask my stakeholders, which metrics would you like to see, so that we're not reporting on redundant KPIs that nobody really wants to see. It's important to work with metrics that matter. So regular reporting, data analysis at the degree necessary, those are some of the things that I do.
8. Can you discuss your experience with Agile and traditional project management methodologies and how you decide which to apply?
Having been in the world of Agile for well over a decade now, my focus is always on understanding people's view of what they mean by Agile, to get everyone in the PMO on the same page that Agile is not a methodology. Instead, it's a mindset, it's a state of mind. Now, I heard you say methodology, but I always want people to understand, first and foremost, it is a mindset. And my focus is on selecting the framework that best fits the project's context and objectives. I have strong experience with Agile, traditional approaches as well, understanding the strengths and the limitations for dynamic projects, Agile fosters flexibility and rapid iteration. For traditional projects, we have structures provided in the PMBOK guide, like the 5 process groups, the 10 knowledge areas. Those give structure and control for complex, longer-term initiatives, and that's okay. Both have their place, is what I normally say. I've been a Scrum Master since 2011. I have 6 Agile certifications in Scrum, Agile Leadership from Ken Schreiber's company, one of the co-creators of Scrum, Scale Professional Scrum, the Agile Certified Practitioner, Professional Scrum Master, Professional Scrum Product Owner as well. So I have very deep understanding about Agile. I'm very passionate about it, and I often combine Agile and predictive methods to form a hybrid mix. And I realize that that is something that's in the PMO's vision, to be able to have more of these hybrid projects. Often hybrid approaches combine elements that can be optimally mixed. It doesn't have to be a straight 50-50. It could be a 60-40, 70-30 in favor of either Agile or predictive. So if selected as the candidate, I will really be looking forward to bringing my experience with Agile and traditional and helping the team understand how to get that hybrid mix that they're looking to.
I see. That's an interesting perspective. 9. How do you foster collaboration between project teams, stakeholders, and executive leadership within your PMO?
In any PMO, I understand the importance of collaboration, and my mantra becomes, like the Agile Manifesto, customer collaboration should be valued over negotiation. And I build a collaborative PMO by bringing people to the table to share concerns, to share ideas, and actually listening to those ideas and valuing the people by putting these ideas back into the process, by feeding them back in. I implement tools and processes that facilitate communication, knowledge sharing across teams, regular meetings and workshops, and project walkthroughs, and that promotes cross-functional learning and understanding. I also champion a shared accountability model, fostering a sense of collective ownership and success. So I try to stay away from purely centralized leadership. I like decentralized leadership so that everyone on the team has a chance to show leadership at different levels and just take ownership. So I hold regular cross-functional meetings. I use collaboration tools. I ensure open lines of communication. And I realize that this fosters transparency and alignment, and it creates a culture of collaboration in the PMO and anyone the PMO interacts with.
10. Can you share an example of a challenging project you managed and how you successfully navigated it?
A couple come to mind here, but one that I would like to talk about is in a previous role where we had a complex high-stakes project. This project had so many moving parts. Think about it like an assembly line project, because every piece of this project was a silo that belonged to a different department, but the IT team was looking to build a solution that would cater to 12 different departments. And each department had their own way of doing things. So the paperwork, collecting all the facts and the figures, our limited resources made it very challenging. But what I did was initiate a project rescue plan. I identified various critical paths for each of these silos. I reallocated resources, and I maintained close communication with our stakeholders. I also ensured that we spent time on the most critical components of the project, and at the end of the day, it was a success.
That's a very creative solution. 11. How do you stay updated with the latest trends and best practices in project management?
For me, continuous learning is essential, and I bring this awareness to teams I work with. I regularly attend industry conferences, and I participate in webinars and encourage people who are certified like me to engage in professional networks with the PMI, either virtually or in person. The PMI has certain demands of PMPs, project management professionals that they keep up with their certification PDUs, professional development units. So that serves as a motivator to get in a lot of education, 60 hours in 3 years. But on top of that, for my own personal upkeep, I spend time studying leadership, communications, and the soft skills, because research from the PMI has shown that the most important parts that one should focus on are the pieces that keep the project manager in the top 2%. And it's all interpersonal, leadership, communication skills, and things like that. I also encourage my team to stay current and to share their insights and fostering a culture of learning. And I help them navigate that terrain. I make available in-house training and coaching in project management. In fact, in previous firms I've been in, I encourage my team to have lunch and learns where one person on the team trains and coaches and mentors the others in an area that they have proven proficiency in.
12. How do you manage and motivate your PMO team to ensure high performance and job satisfaction?
That's a really great question, Rachel. Thanks for asking. For me, I believe in setting clear expectations, providing opportunities for skill development, and recognizing achievements. And I want my people to feel valued, so I consistently reiterate my appreciation for them bringing their best every day and bringing solutions to problems that they encounter. I give regular feedback, coaching, and fostering a positive team environment. I also ensure that team members have a healthy work-life balance. So if I do see that a team member is feeling burnt out, then I might help by advising that individual to take their foot off the gas a little bit more and exploring options. I also use concepts such as coaching, where they work out how they would like to handle issues that they have confirmed they are facing in their work-life balance. So I believe in empowering my team. I provide them with autonomy, clear expectations, ongoing opportunities for growth and development, and I recognize achievements. I celebrate successes, and I foster a positive work environment. For me, the key things are recognizing achievement, celebrating successes, open communication, regular feedback, and it just helps everyone to feel valued, heard, and contributes at the same time to the PMO's success.
I'm impressed with your knowledge of this topic. You're clearly passionate about this project. 13. How do you handle resistance to change when implementing new project management processes or tools?
I often say resistance is an opportunity for alignment. Change management is, of course, crucial in an organization. So I start off by clearly communicating the benefits of the change, but I also seek to understand any resistance that I face. I want to know, why am I facing the resistance? Is there anything I can do to elevate people's awareness and consciousness? So I involve those people, I call them resistors at that point. I involve them in the decision-making process, and I provide training and support to those individuals, and I rely on continuous feedback loops. But I also have a positive mental attitude towards the resistance, because I know that it's going to help us get a better solution. Everyone on board is hypernorming. Having a few people kick back is always good, in my opinion, and I know how to handle this by allowing them share their ideas and their thoughts. And a lot of times you hear where their fears are coming from, and you can work with other people who have similar fears and minimize those fears and concerns, showing them that there really is no basis for that. And even where there's a basis for that, you work with them to ensure that those negative situations are minimized, those risks or threats that they're seeing, those concerns that they're seeing are minimized. So overall, I believe every change situation needs to be approached with empathy, with understanding, by clearly communicating the benefits and the rationale, by addressing concerns directly, and involving stakeholders in the process. I build trust, I minimize resistance.
14. Can you share your experience in managing a diverse portfolio of projects with varying complexities and priorities?
Certainly, in my previous role, I managed a diverse portfolio ranging from small routine projects to large strategic initiatives. I used a tiered approach to portfolio management, ensuring that each project received the appropriate level of attention and resources based on its strategic importance. Experience with diverse portfolios has honed my ability to prioritize effectively and adapt to changing priorities. I utilize portfolio management tools to visualize dependencies, resource allocation, and project status. A flexible PMO structure with dedicated teams for different project types ensures agility and responsiveness. Regular portfolio reviews and scenario planning have just helped me to enable timely adjustments and optimal resource utilization.
How do you handle budget management and cost control within your PMO?
As a result of my heavy background in project and program controls and earned value management in firms that espouse earned value, budget management is a critical aspect in my work as a PMO officer. I work closely with finance to create and monitor project budgets, regular financial reviews, cost tracking, variance analysis. It helps me stay on track, and it helps me communicate to senior management and also to the team what they need to know to optimize their spending and to maximize the decision-making process. Financial discipline, in my mind, is absolutely crucial. So I implement comprehensive budgeting, comprehensive control processes. Accountability is part of what happens. The general idea is if everyone has been taught the philosophies, then things just turn out better. So transparency, stakeholder engagement, this ensures buy-in, and it helps overall to minimize budget surprises. When the team is engaged, when there's transparency, everything becomes clear just in time when it needs to be.